Well, let's dive into it then. And to kick
Sure.
things off, how or where did you hear about Hostage Tape?
I think originally I saw probably an ad where someone was talking about it, that they used to use medical tape and then they ended up switching to hostage tape. And this is the first time I'd ever heard about mouth taping at all. So I started looking into it as a possible solution for snoring. And it had to have been a really good targeted ad because I had just had a doctor's appointment for a nasal spray to help with snoring already. Like I was about to go see a eye, nose, and throat doctor because I guess my snoring has just gotten too out of hand for my wife. So I'd just gotten the nasal spray. It really wasn't working that well. So I'm constantly being woken up in the middle of the night because my snoring's so bad. And since I'm only getting a couple hours of sleep as it is, it's even more obnoxious to be woken up even more so I would stop snoring. So it made more sense for me to try to figure out a way so that I wasn't like getting woken up by waking up my partner. So I started looking at mouth taping. And they recommend like the regular cloth surgical tape. Tried doing that, but as you can tell, I'm very hairy, and that doesn't really work out too well, and it becomes more of a mess than anything else. So then, my memory's so bad, I started Google searching mouth taping, and that's when I found the original video for hostage tape. I started looking at the site. I'm like, all right, well, I'll give this a try. And I think I've been using it now for about almost 2 months now. And I have to admit, it is way better than regular surgical tape. And it's the only thing that I've used so far that worked almost immediately and doesn't rip all of my hair out.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the main things, right? Like I have a beard myself, and when I first tried the product, I was very skeptical because everything else that I had tried was either way too adhesive, and when you went to pull it off, like you could see hair on the tape, or it would just fall off at night.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, okay, here's another one, and I'll give this one a shot. And it's been the only one that it stays on through the night. And then when you go to take it off, it's not ripping the hair out of your face. Definitely, that's a huge one for the guys like us with beards. Now you said you had been like from your snoring, you were woken up. Is that your wife probably like giving you an elbow in the back or a pillow across the face, waking you up to stop snoring?
Basically, yeah. Basically getting slapped awake or kicked because my snoring was so loud.
Yeah, I've been there too. You'd be surprised just how many people that's kind of like one of the things, right? For myself, I didn't believe that I snored, and my wife was just like, "No, you're snoring all night long." Then she took a video, and I was like, "Well, that sounds pretty terrible." But it was just pillows across the faces, elbows in the back to say like roll over onto your side to stop snoring, and yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. And then did you try other types of mouth tape before using hostage tape, you said?
Just using the medical tape.
The medical tape. Okay.
Medical
Very
cloth
nice.
tape.
Very nice. Very nice. And when you went in for your, I believe you said it was a nose and throat specialist, what exactly were you telling them about, and what did they kind of say to you or recommend to you?
So, I was going to get recommended to an eye, nose, and throat, or ear, nose, and throat doctor, just to see if there was some, like, I don't know, maybe I needed to go get, opened up. And I didn't know the procedure. I very rarely go to the doctor because I very rarely have any issues. But all I knew is that I needed to do something about the snoring. And I knew for a while if I used like a nose spray like Afrin, it's like something steroid based, it opens me up for a night, but then I have like 2 nights where it's just absolutely terrible. Like, because I think whatever you do, it holds off and it stays off like the main symptoms of like why I was congested. And I was just looking for some type of relief, some type of medical relief. And they prescribed me something, and I think I used it for maybe a week, 2 weeks. I actually have it here. A Zelestine. So they prescribed me that, and it didn't do anything. All it did was give me a really bad taste in my mouth for 2 weeks. So I had to look up something else. And it wasn't just for like my wife getting a nice sleep. It was for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Just the waking up in the morning, being exhausted. You probably experienced everything with like the dry mouth in the morning as well.
Dry mouth, dry throat.
Yeah, your skin feels like it's just dry on your face. And then for me, it would be an hour of, drinking water and just trying to get some life back into me. It would feel like my face was just sunken into itself. And it would take, an hour before you felt like you were awake or you were able to do anything.
For me, the biggest thing that I noticed was, and it's so hard to explain, but like having a sticky tongue where your tongue is just so dry from just constantly snoring all night. When you wake up, I don't know, it just feels like a very sticky tongue because you didn't have that saliva or that moisture anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, that's a good way to put it. I've never heard it put like that, but that's a good way to put it. I know exactly what you're talking about. And there's just this horrible taste in your mouth as well that doesn't seem to go away, even if you're brushing. So what was your wife supportive when you tried this, or was it, here's another crazy thing that my husband is doing?
I got made fun of.
What were her thoughts?
I definitely got made fun of in the beginning, especially in the middle of the night when she would wake up. She would look over at me and just kind of giggle. It was just kind of like no joke. It was like a Hail Mary. I've already went the doctor route. I've already went the medication route. At this point, I'm like, I'll give it a try. What's it going to hurt? And after a couple of nights, it like the jokes kind of like weaned off, and it got funny to a point where like I'd put it on. She's like, "Well, now it's perfect time to start an argument. You can't argue back." It's great. But now it's just a part of the nightly routine. Like, are you gonna tape your mouth tonight? Like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It became more normal.
Very good. Nice. That's awesome. Once you start seeing the benefits, you don't want to go back. Have you not taped your mouth shut since starting 2 months ago? Have there been nights that you haven't used hostage tape, and did you notice a difference on those nights?
There has been, yes and no. So, there's nights where I start off the night with it, but I get woken up in the middle of the night to put the baby back down. She'll rip it off, and at 3:30 in the morning, you don't really think to put it back on. And there's nights where we just both pass out, and I don't think to, and that's when I'm getting that elbow or that knee in the back throughout the night. So, there are nights that I forget to, or I just don't have time, or just too tired to put it on, and it's almost immediately noticeable.
Yeah,
waking up with that sore throat, almost inevitable.
Yeah, and that is the baby in the middle of the night. That's one of the challenging things. I've got 2 sons, so one's 3.5 and the other one's 1.5. But if they're up and you have your mouth tape on, it's kind of tough to soothe them when you're not able to make any sounds or anything. They do enjoy if they come into our room in the morning. They do enjoy just trying to grab it off my face, though. So it's there's a little game that you can have with your kids. What about your friends? Did you tell any of your friends, or have you told anyone who you think could benefit from this? I'm
in a few different group chats. And I told a couple coworkers, like close coworkers, and I've told a few friends about it. I don't know if they're ready to switch over to it because one friend's single. He doesn't care if he snores. And my other friends, I just don't know if they care enough to try to fix it. It's not affecting their life enough to warrant doing it. On at least one friend. The other friend, I think his wife snores louder than him.
You'll have to have that conversation with her.
Yeah,
Maybe get
exactly.
your wife to bring something up. Yeah, I know for myself, I was pretty wary bringing it up with who I told, because it's one of those things that it can sound a little crazy when you start telling people that you tape your mouth closed at night to breathe better. Because there's just not a lot of information about there of the importance of breathing through your nose, and then especially at night when we don't have as much control over how we're breathing. Have you looked into the science at all, and are you checking up on your kids and making sure that they're nasal breathers?
I've not. I've kind of assumed that the mouth breathing at night was the inevitable result of like my former smoking habits.
Right. And that probably makes sense. Absolutely. What would you say to someone who you think could benefit from it, but you're trying to like bridge that gap between coming off sounding crazy, but also wanting to help them? What do you think you would kind of say to that person?
I'd say give it a try. I mean, it's not like it's going to be something that's super disruptive to your day. It's not crazy. It's not like a crazy expense. It's not like, you're going out trying to buy a $500 vacuum or something like that, where at the end of the day you have like buyer's remorse. I'd say for, what is it, like around $30 for a 30-day supply, $1 a day. It's worth it to try out. If it doesn't work, then you're only out $1.
Exactly. And you can get the money back guarantee as well with the $30 or the 1 month trial. So yeah, it's pretty nice how you can just say, hey, you know what? It's not crazy expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump into this. Would you ever think of going back to life before Hostage Tape? Have you ever thought about, what would it still be like if you hadn't found Hostage Tape yet?
I would, only because I still feel like Hostage Tape is quite literally a Band-Aid for a larger problem. And me personally, I'd like to know what the larger problem is. Like, why am I getting overly congested at night? Like, is it because of my former smoking habits? I haven't smoked in 2 years now. Will it go away? Or is it something bigger? So, like, I'd be more concerned personally in seeing, what is causing these symptoms that I'm having that's made it this much more prevalent.
Yeah, exactly. What is kind of causing the congestion and the mouth breathing? That makes a lot of sense. Well, Nick, I'll finish off here by saying thank you very much. I appreciate you waking up at a very early time this morning and giving us the time to share your Hostage Tape journey. And we'll be using this to kind of get out there and spread the word to more